Good evening, everyone. Heather here from Grow Family Yoga and More. And I was just about to leave the studio, but before I do, I wanted to pop on here and talk about 3 mindfulness techniques or strategies for lowering stress. So I'm sure everybody has heard about mindfulness and has read some studies about its benefits, and especially for kids. Maybe your workplace has even started doing some, mindfulness classes, or has sent you some articles on mindfulness. But then sometimes, I'm going to fix this just a little bit so I can see. But then I've noticed that a lot of people, they're like, that's great and all, but I don't quite understand what mindfulness is. Is it just, practicing different breathing strategies? Is it becoming, aware of the present moment? And if that's the definition, still, what does it mean? And so I wanted to do a little video on 3 real strategies you can use. I'm not going to go heavy into a mindfulness discussion per se, but I did want to talk a little bit about some actual strategies that you can implement today that will help lower your stress levels. So as I was just saying, you might have heard of mindfulness, but one of the main benefits of mindfulness is with a consistent practice and cultivating a more mindful state of being, you can actually lower your stress and you can respond and interact with your environment more positively. And that's one reason why educators across the world are talking a lot about mindfulness, because who doesn't want that for young children, right? So the strategies, I have made myself some notes so that I won't get off track. The first one is engaging with some sensory experiences. So, and I am actually talking to adults, not just kids here. So let's say that you are starting to notice your heartbeat is getting faster, your blood pressure is raising. Maybe, your boss came in and told you something really stress-inducing. Maybe your kids are yelling in the background when you're trying to have a phone conversation. Maybe you got a letter, an email from your kid's school, and it's one other thing for the to-do list, and you just notice that you're stressed. You know that you are, but you're not giving it much thought or attention. But hey, I cannot be in this lingered state of stress. So what's the first thing you can do? What are sensory experiences? So you can actually take a minute, stop, and notice all the sounds around you. And maybe they are loud sounds and maybe not the most peaceful sounds, but just taking a moment to notice what's happening. Maybe your kids, like I said, are yelling in the background. And instead of really focusing on the yelling, you start focusing on what they're saying and the noise and everything around that's happening. Maybe you notice in between that cacophony of sounds, you hear some birds chirping or the wind blowing. Maybe you focus on certain smells. You stop for a minute and think about, what are the smells that are around me right now? Maybe you stop and touch your hoodie and your sweatshirt and notice the softness of the texture. And that just helps ground you, because it tells your brain, hey, we're here, we're now, we're in the present, and this is what's happening. And it brings you kind of back down to earth, if you will. So sensory experiences for kids, we can always amplify that and elaborate it and make it super fancy by bringing out, sensory beads and all these different things for them. But adults can benefit from really noticing their sensory experiences as well. The next strategy is noticing your thoughts and feelings, like actually identifying them through interrogation. So you want to ask yourself, let's say you notice again your heart rate is increasing, your blood pressure is rising, you're feeling really stressed out, you know it in your body, but maybe you don't actually know what the cause was. Like maybe you got that email yesterday and you woke up this morning feeling stressed, and there was nothing particularly specific to cause that stress, but you're feeling it and you haven't quite figured out why. So through interrogation of your thoughts and feelings, asking really specific questions of yourself. Okay, exactly what am I feeling? I'm feeling stressed. My heart is beating faster. I'm feeling really anxious. I'm noticing I'm having racing thoughts about the day or about what happened yesterday. You can ask yourself those questions. You can also ask yourself, okay, so what do I want to name this feeling? Is it anger? Is it worry? Is it maybe even sadness or grief? When you can actually name those feelings and identify them, put them in a very specific kind of box, then you can make an action plan of where you want to go with that. So let's say that it's actually anger that has manifested that, 24 hours later as anxiety. Maybe your friend said something that really hurt your feelings and made you angry, and now you can kind of trace that line and say, oh, that's what it is. But you had to ask yourself those questions first. You had to ask yourself, what am I feeling? What could be the cause that I'm feeling this? What has happened in the last, 24, 36 hours? And where do I go from here? So that interrogation. And lastly, it's going to seem really silly, but it's one of my favorites. I train people to teach, kids yoga, and I've trained people to teach different styles of yoga to adults. And I will never be sick of arts and crafts as a mindfulness strategy. So I know that if you're at work, it may not be feasible to pull out a paintbrush and a canvas or whatever. But I would suggest having something really easy and portable that you can take 5 to 10 minutes. It's kind of like that sensory experience again, where you can take 5 to 10 minutes to create something, to allow your mind to not be so analytical, not be so interrogative, not be so logical, if you will, and allow your hand and your brain to begin the process of creation. And you can do that, in a very acute way where, right in the moment where you're feeling super stressed out, you can take a 5 or 10 minute breather, arts and craft break where you draw something or maybe pull out the crochet hook, whatever it is you like to do or you want to explore learning to do. Or you can make it a regular habit, every Friday evening maybe you devote 30 minutes of time to creation. Maybe it's graphic design, maybe you like creating memes, maybe you like to crochet, maybe you like to paint, maybe you like to draw, maybe you like to write. It doesn't really matter so much what the arts or craft is. What matters is that you get to explore creativity and putting that creativity onto something outside of yourself, right? And that's a really great strategy, a mindfulness strategy, and a really great skill to develop for managing stress. So just to review, some mindfulness techniques to manage stress are to engage in sensory experiences and to notice what your senses are interacting with in their environment at that very moment, whether that's through touch, taste, smell, sight, or hearing. The next one is interrogation of your thoughts and feelings to find a line and a path to maybe why and how you're feeling the way you're feeling so that you can create an action plan. And then number 3, to allow yourself arts and crafts and to allow yourself to express yourself creatively. There we go, creatively. If you have any questions about any of those, about what mindfulness is, about how to make it a daily practice, about how to share that with your kids, I would love for you to send us a message, or email us at hello@growhappyfamily.com. You can also text us at 904-310-4190. Or you can join our group. That's probably the best way to get a hold of me personally, but also to ask other people in our group who are students here, who some of them are not students here though, some of them are international, who have been practicing yoga for a while or have their own ideas for stress management in a mindfulness context. And that group is Grow Family Online. I will link it in the comments. Completely free, and it's just a community of fun people, mostly parents and grandparents, who want to share the joys of yoga and mindfulness and an exploratory mindset and growth mindset with the young people of the earth. So I would love for you guys to join us there, and I hope that you found this video helpful. That's why I did it, and you guys have a wonderful, mindful evening. Bye, everybody. Have a great day.